More than 80% of the people in our viewing area live outside of Buffalo, in the suburbs of Erie County or even out in our rural counties. But what happens inside the largest city in western New York impacts all of us. So tonight we are getting reaction to Mayor Byron Brown's plans for Buffalo as outlined in his State of the City address. He says none of this can be done without a small hike to property taxes.
In order to keep up with rising costs, to maintain our ability to provide essential services, my recommended city budget includes a tax increase of 3.8%.
So we'll get into what that means in a moment. First, though, some of the headlines from this $582 million budget proposal. The mayor wants to spend $30 million to forgive low-income homeowners past due tax, water, and sewer bills. Add to that more than $20 million for street paving and sidewalks. Also funding to purchase 11 new pieces of equipment for the fire department and 24 additions to the snow fighting fleet. Of course, none of this will happen without approval from the Common Council. And joining us live right now is Mitch Nowakowski, one of those members. He represents the Fillmore District. Appreciate you coming in. And I want to start with that tax question, because anytime you talk about raising taxes, people want to know, what does this mean for me? And I'll show our viewers right now what this would mean in the dollars and cents. The proposal here would increase a home with an assessed value of $100,000. 46 additional dollars per year. So if the home is assessed at $200,000, you double that, about $100 a year. Commercial properties would also see an increase, and then the garbage user fee would also go up. Is the council going to approve these tax and fee increases, you think?
Well, thank you for having me. And I do know that the Common Council will be looking at the tax rate to see what is feasible for residents to be able to pay. I really want to stress the fact that this budget relies on $30 million of ARP funds for revenue replacement and $20 million next year.
American Rescue Plan, money from Washington.
Money from Washington. And we, before that, the mayor did not raise taxes for about 15 years. So there's going to be a large gap when this federal funding and one-time funding is shut off. It's going to be pretty sharp. So the Common Council really has to look forward to being able to budget appropriately so that we're not at a fiscal cliff in 3 years where we're worried about a hard control board. So I believe that if we are raising taxes to be able to meet that gap, for that future gap, that we're also looking inward on how else we can be cost-saving measures as a municipality. And multiple things can be true at the same time. So we do see a lot of equipment that is well overdue to be purchased by the city of Buffalo. We're just off of a blizzard. And I really believe that the mayor's response to purchasing those equipment and investing in firehouses and emergency services is very pertinent, and will make sure that we are safe in inclement weather that we know is here to stay.
I'll ask you more about that in just a moment. There was something else, though, kind of related to the city's finances that caught my attention that the mayor said yesterday. Listen to this.
Let's support our shared institutions and overcome our region's legacy of underinvesting in Buffalo's neighborhoods. It's time to increase the share of sales tax that Buffalo receives.
So the mayor's argument here is that people from all over western New York come into the city. They take advantage of the city's amenities that oftentimes, are city expenses, right? And saying we should get more of the tax revenue. Is there an ongoing lobbying effort right now to try to make that happen? Any chance that that happens? Because that would be a financial windfall for the city. Yeah,
and it'd be up to the Erie County Legislature. And I'd like to ask that in two parts. It is correct. In urban economics and in municipal budgeting, our region's attractions come to the city of Buffalo. That's wear and tear on our streets and sidewalks. That's police services, festivals. These come with large bills that people outside of the city of Buffalo enjoy in the city of Buffalo that cause wear and tear to our infrastructure. And the mayor is true in stating that we do need to have an increase of revenue somewhere to address those needs. I just don't know if that's politically feasible for the Erie County Legislature, where only 2 members represent solely the city of Buffalo.
Yeah, no doubt about it. In terms of the biggest items on there with the spending, we mentioned that $30 million for this one-time forgiveness program. Is that something that you think the council is going to support? It's one of the biggest line items in this proposed budget.
I do. I think that the council has an appetite with it, especially in a year where taxes have to raise to meet future needs and growing a tax base. So I think by providing that relief to residents is super critical, especially to a large portion of my constituents who call my office who are seeking relief, because the City of Buffalo and the Common Council does not want anyone to leave their home. It doesn't help anyone to have anyone foreclosed on and not being able to meet their water bills, their user fee, or their taxes. And ultimately, in the long-term plan, keeping folks in their houses is actually not only better for neighborhoods, but it's overall more sustainable for the city budget.
I've talked with you and some of your colleagues on the council for a while now about the status of the Buffalo Fire Department, especially the firefighting fleet, right? And there is the need to replace some pieces of equipment. So we learned we're looking at 11 new pieces of equipment replaced in this, along with 24 pieces of equipment, trucks, other devices related to snow fighting. The appetite, it seems, is there for that, or does it even go far enough?
Yeah, I'd like to give credit where credit is due, and Councilmember Chris Scanlon, who's the President Pro Temp, really sounded the alarm bell for that and did a lot of the homework. And I know that when the evidence was displayed to colleagues of mine, we are very supportive of that and would like to take it even a step further because we know the wear and tear that happens to fire departments, but we also understand the emergency services and that the public health and safety aspect it is to city residents. And ultimately, when we were talking about regionalism, by having a good fire department that's able to be equipped with enough machinery and equipment also keeps people that visit and stay in our city safe as well.
Yeah, no doubt. The council met today, right? And I know there's a lot going on just outside of the mayor's budget proposal, which we didn't get until yesterday. But what is not in that proposed budget that the council is talking about, or changes or things that you think, all right, I don't know that the council is quite with the administration on this?
I think moving forward, I think where the council is at is because $582 million is a very large budget, and we are having to forecast years out of where those shortfalls happen. I think that the Common Council has a strong appetite that if we are raising taxes, we also have to ultimately look at what we can cut and where there could be cost-saving measures for the future, because this budget really is going to be a blueprint of what city finances look like from 2 to 3 to 4 years and where the city will be drastically changing, and we have to keep our eye on the ball for not only today but for the future.
I've only got 30 seconds left, but so what happens now? Obviously this goes to the council. What's the timeline?
Yes, now per the city charter, the council members in the Common Council will be under a marathon and have 30 days to either approve, to amend, or to vote no on a city budget. But I'd like to let folks know that a no, but if the Common Council was in totality to vote no, it means that the mayor's budget stands with no amendments. So really the power is within the Common Council to be able to seek amendments and work together to whip 5 votes and 6 if there was ever a veto to come up with a document that the Common Council can agree on. And they're all shared responsibilities and priorities that need to be reflected in that budget. And there's 9 of us to deliberate that.
A lot to come. Fillmore District Council Member Mitch Nowakowski, thanks for coming in and giving us your reaction to this. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yep.